And we're live. Hello, punters. How you going? Welcome to JCB's place. I'm your host, JC Beaver. JCB, who we got? We got Tom in the chat joining us. Good to see you, man. Sunday night in Melbourne. Just thought we'd fire up the channel. I've been firing up the channel the last couple of weeks with my man IDGUY. We love talking watches. It's funny. We started streaming sort of COVID time, and sort of life got in the way after that, and we kept talking, and there were a couple of times where we'd be doing this but privately, and we were like, oh man, we should do it just to fire up the channel again sometime. So we thought we'd just do it while we've got some time. So yeah, thanks for joining us. If you don't know me, my name's JCB. I'm a lawyer based in Melbourne. Been down the rabbit hole for 15 years or something now. Yeah, watches are a massive part of my life. It sounds stupid to say that, actually. That sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it's a good little hobby that we've got, and it's a good community that we've got going. So good to have you guys, and if you're tuning in later, glad that you could join us. Without further ado, I'll bring on my brother from another mother. He's floating around in the background, Mr. IDGUY.
Yo, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, people. Mr. Beaver, good to see you, sir.
Guy, how are you, my friend?
Conscious. You got me out of bed. Remember, this has been recorded on a Sunday at 10 o'clock. You got me out of bed at 10 o'clock on a Sunday, which is impressive. So,
man, you're living that university life, man. Rolling up out of bed at 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's one of the perks of the job is that Sundays are always like planning day for me. So it's planning and scheduling the next week's video and like getting the script together, getting the ideas. So it's pretty good. Like I enjoy the fact that this sort of gets the juices flowing, and got a couple in the chat. I think I see Madman there with us. Yeah,
my man, Madman, Tom. Yeah, it's good to see you, boys.
But we've been wanting to do this Speedmaster talk for freaking years. Like we've talked about it months ago, and we said, yeah, we'll do it. But it's been a long time coming where we can just sit down and talk about one particular topic, and where you're a huge fan of them. I'm a little bit on the fence. Speedmasters and me, we've never really gelled 100%, but I think our differing opinions are going to make for a good like debate.
Yeah, some good banter. Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because I'm not sure if I ever told you this. Whenever been chatting, but so I went down the rabbit hole in 2010 when I was looking for a wedding watch. Right, so my wife and her family said to me, "Oh, look, yeah, well, for the wedding, you know, we want to get you something nice. We'll get you a watch." And so that's when I started looking, going to all the boutiques and all the stores.
So this is when the hobby like kicked off for you. Is this when it like really began?
Fucking hell! I went deep, like proper deep. And I thought to myself, I love chronographs, right? So it was always going to be a chronograph. But I thought, I want to be a bit different. You know, I don't want to get a Speedy or a Daytona or Rolex Submariner or something.
Why not? Those are all great pieces. What are you talking about?
Well, okay, but they're sort of, in my sort of embryonic thinking at the time, it was sort of like, well, I wanted to go against the grain. I wanted something different. You know, I wanted my first watch piece. I thought I don't want to get something cliched, something that everyone like the go-to watch. You know, the Speedy was always. That was the chronograph that you get, right? That was basically the main option was getting a Speedy. So I never had it on my radar. It was never ever on my radar. And then my dad got one, and then I thought, well, my dad's got Dad's got one, right? It's my dad's watch. Eventually, that'll land up with me as well one day. So why do I even bother getting a Speedy? So it was just never a thing. And then when and you know this story, but when the 3861 and all of the variants of the 3861 launched, I was like, okay,
that was a big moment, man. That's something we need to put aside and like bookmark, because that was a big moment, I think, for all of us. That was 2020. Hey, like on the nose. I can't believe it was that long ago.
Something like that. Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah,
but that was a big like stepping up point that we'd all been looking forward to seeing, and we'll get into like the nuances of what made it so cool. but definitely that's for me. I've never been a
totally.
Speedmaster enthusiast,
Yeah.
but when that 3861 launched, I thought, man, this movement, this is a big change. Hell of an improvement over the
It was just,
1861. It's mad.
it was, and the bracelet, and there was all these little changes that they
Little
made where,
steps to the dial and dot over 90 and applied
as a
logo.
package, it was just like, it's such a cool watch. And so that's when I caught the bug. So yeah, I haven't been, I'm not a huge Speedy fan. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of all the references and this limited edition when blah, blah, blah. Like, there's, as everyone knows, there's so many freaking Speedies like that. And we'll talk about a few of them today, but
there's
and it's
more,
hard to,
more
fucking hard to
Speedmasters
keep
than
track.
yeah, you can't. I mean, just after last week's moon phase thing that they dropped, I don't know if you've got a tab open for that, but that was
Yeah, I've got a tab open. We'll have a look at that.
that was an oddball.
Let's do a wristwatch check. What are you wearing, bro? What's on the wrist?
Well, this is the cool thing because I've never been a chronograph guy. I think I've mentioned this many times. I've been in the hobby now for, I would say, give or take 15 years, but I've only owned watches, proper watches, for the last like 10. Never been a chronograph guy, but it was because of you and your direction that you ended up taking, which was the Breitling Zenith route, and your influence and your persistence that eventually got me down the road of pursuing a watch like the little El Primero. The lighting's better today, hey? Check it out. I got the
a bit better.
I turned the room light around a little bit more.
Nice.
8384 El Primero. This watch, it's the perfect package.
That's so good, man. And
touch of red strap. This was just one of those things that just tied it all together. And man, I wear it all the time. Date complication, it's perfect, automatic, don't have to wind. And I think for the context of this video, I also want to talk about character and excitement, which is something that I think the Speedmaster lacks in some areas. It's a little bit more utility focused in some situations. Definitely get in there, but A384.
And it's good. I'm actually glad that you're wearing that watch because I want to talk about it before we jump into the Speedy rabbit hole. I just want to quickly touch on another 37 mil watch that launched during the week, and we'll have a quick look at that one.
What was that? This should be good. I didn't register this.
The 37 mil. Think 37 mil. What just came? Your last fucking video, dude. What the hell?
That's how far. Bear in mind, I do these recordings like on a Tuesday, so that was 5 days ago. You know, I'm a little bit behind on this. Right? Okay, I get you. Okay, it's a little bit overseas inspired. There it is.
Since we're talking Speedies, I thought I'd grab. This is my dad's Speedy that I was mentioning. So this is
watch, man. I must say, like, for all the criticism I give it, I do love that dial. It's the hand. It's sick.
So this is a real oddball Speedy. Actually, it's not a very popular one. This is a coaxial Speedy, so it's automatic. And you can tell by the bottom.
That's so killer, man.
Yeah, it's got the date at the bottom, in the bottom there. Look how they've placed it there. Really, really nicely done.
I remember you showed this to me, and I didn't know what the hell it was. So this is, and it's like it's a 44 or something. Hey, it's not 42.
Look, that's the only downside with this watch is that it's 44.25 mil. This is running Omega caliber 3313. It's a pretty pedestrian looking movement. It's not super decorated or whatever.
But when do you ever see a professional that looks like this with the automatic rotor on the back? I think it's killer, man. It's so different.
Yeah, it's so it's pretty cool watch, but yeah, like the thing is it's quite big. I just had the so it's 44.25. I've got my calipers here, and I was waiting till we started the show to just pull it on.
Give us live measurements.
Because this is the thing, like with Speedies, they're 42, right? The manual wind is a 42, but
the bezel is the denominator.
Man, it wears like a 40.
Yeah.
It wears like a 40-41. Like that's a cool thing about the Speedy Professional. That case, it's so good. It's good across the. Like the measurement of the width is across the case up until the outer point of the crown guard. The crown guard, because it's asymmetrical, you can see it sort of sticks out. So that's where your measurement.
It is such a brilliantly designed case. It's so flippin' good. There's no other watch out there that has such a dynamic, especially for this sort of price point. It's fascinating how they squeezed in the lugs. They've got like integrated crown protection system. It's such an improvement over the standard.
41.5 this bezel is.
Unreal.
So this one's a 41.5 across the bezel, and then when you chuck in, you go over to the crown guard, then you get 44.2. So it's.
See, I mean, when I saw it on your wrist at first, I thought it was just a standard 42. It doesn't look much bigger, honestly.
Look, if it looks okay, right?
It looks exactly the same as the standard.
Like I've got like a 7-inch wrist. I think it's.
I honestly thought it was an 1816. I forgot it was the coaxial with the date at the bottom. I mean, that was my my first impression seeing it.
I think it feels cool, but then if you, I think it compared to like what the 3861, like that one, it just wears so much better. But as an everyday sort of piece, like it's pretty cool. Maybe
the date at the 6 o'clock position is friggin' brilliant, man. Why? Why don't they do that? I mean, it's so hidden. I didn't see it until I saw it. You know, it's better than this, and everyone hates the date at the 4:30. I love it. I think it's so zenith. But that is what Omega is known for. They love putting their dates at the 6, and it looks so good on that. So they could definitely work their magic with a manual wind and throw in a date at the bottom.
Yeah, do you reckon? I think I think that's a good idea actually. It's pretty cool, the little date on here. Yeah,
and I think it said the 15th. You haven't said it. That's
I haven't said it. I hadn't said it.
It's the 19th, and I'm saying that because I never set dates on my watches. So this is a special moment when I'm actually ahead. I'm ahead for once.
That's funny. Hey, can we before we jump into the Speedies, can we hate on the Vacheron 222 for a minute?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Look, we shouldn't hate on it. Like, I think
I think it's a fascinating when I think back now as to the timing when it came out compared to its competition. I think it's a very interesting call of theirs. Because AP, Patek, every other name under the sun, they've shot their shot with their integrated bracelets. Vacheron's been riding the overseas wave, and it's a brilliant watch in so many ways. I would take the overseas over everything else. Just because of this watch, I've been looking at the overseas again, and it's a cool watch, man. Gloss black dial, it's just so cool.
Have you seen the blue dial? Have you had a blue dial overseas on your wrist before?
I've only had a black dial. Never had the blue, which is pretty funny to think. But man, it's a cool watch. And this in steel, I mean, there's the original. I've had one of these. I've had an original in hand before, also black dial.
Okay.
And it's a blimmin' cool watch. I think the same time I also had a solid yellow gold AP Royal Oak, similar. I think it was a quartz, one of the early quartz variants, similar size, also like a 37 or no, it wasn't. It was like 35 mil. And seeing them side by side, you could definitely take bits and pieces that you liked out of one than the other. The bezel on these watches are just so awesome. I love the understatedness of the 222. So this thing though, this is the re-edition that came out 2022 as the 45th anniversary of the 222. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So the 222 originally was celebrating Vacheron's
222nd birthday.
That's
so mental. You want a headache? You want a headache? Just do what I do. I have to like recite all of this crap. But the steel one, compared to the gold one, it's super nice. But I just wish there was. I think the one thing that's turned me off, which is it's so true to the original in every way. The black dial is just the same, but it needs some light play on that dial. It needs if it was a sunbrushed black or a sunbrushed blue that just had a bit of pop in the light, that would be nice. And a running seconds hand, I know we're really pulling it at hairs, but I would love to see a running seconds hand on it too.
Yeah, that's one. There's one thing, because when I was seeing the watch, I just sort of like scrolled past. I didn't really pay it much attention. I didn't realize it didn't. I didn't realize
this is not your wheelhouse, eh? I mean, you're not a fan of these sorts of pieces. This is
man. No, it's look. I think I was thinking about it. Okay, so with your the Zenith A384, right? That's one of those watches where you just don't get it until you've got it on your wrist.
Get it.
Like once it's on your wrist, then you're like, I get it. Like it makes sense. Like it's the size is really nice. It fits it's ergonomic. It's slim for a chronograph. Yada yada.
It's everything you want, and it's also light play. It's the light hitting the plots and the hands, and it's the depth to the subdials, and it's the colors, the tritone, and it's the. I freaking love Zenith, man. I've come to that epiphany that I just want to get more Zenith. It's one of those things I've woken up to.
Yeah,
they are so bloody good.
Show us that Zenith again. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, real cool.
Just
I think
the brand in general, the pieces are they're so against the grain, and I think that's why I love them. That dive, I think you guys did a talk with Thomas, and you were talking about re-editions and anniversaries, and you guys were chatting about the Zenith Defy diver. Yeah, I would pick up that revival Doxer looking thing, no problem. If it's not for retail, but under retail, yes, I would do it. Because it's just so different. And anyway, getting off track here.
No,
size and dimensions.
Well, I feel like this is one of those watches that if I had it on my wrist, then I would probably go, like this is cool, because it's really
they wear beautifully. They wear beautifully.
Like I think that's 8.1 or something.
Everyone talks about like the 39mm AP Jumbo, which also is an insanely good watch on the wrist and all the rest. But one of the most underrated fields in this is when you start looking at the 35 mils. There's even a 33 mil variant of these watches. I don't know about the 222, but I know AP has done it.
Yeah, okay.
They wear so well, and they're so, they do bring across the jewelry feel. I know, look at it. It's 7.95 mils.
It's under 8.
Yeah, man, under 8. Automatic. I mean, this is Vacheron in their prime. The only downside is that power reserve, which I guess you could live with, but 40 hours is not exactly, insane.
40, so yeah. They should have pulled it out with something closer to 60 or something.
Slower beat rate. I mean, why do you need a beat rate so high when you don't even see the seconds hand on the dial? It's like, maybe it's just my logic, but it's like, it could be a quartz watch for anyone who doesn't know what they're looking at. And you could lower the beat rate and double the power reserve, or at least get it to 60 hours. Look at that rotor. I love the detail, man. The fact that they got the little bezel and so nice.
Yeah, I think
And the bracelet, just like the Royal Oak, this bracelet is stunning. They are so flippin' good. If there's one thing that this watch does so nicely that really rides under the radar, it's how they've got the links in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've got to admit, I wrote this watch off even the gold one, I just thought, what the hell? Like, but the more I've delved into the details and thought about how it would wear and looked at it more, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. The dial is a bit boring, like it's not my sort of jam.
and that's the turn off. Yeah, for me too. But, I wish it had a bit more life to it. Some sort of depth to it, something to just give it, because that's what you're looking at all day, right?
Yeah. What about the date wheel? They could have matched it.
But then they're trying to keep it true to the historique name and all the rest. So I guess they've tried to make it as accurate as they could to the original. Kudos they have in so many ways. But yeah, it's what I do like. The context, I'm losing my voice already, and we're like 15 minutes in. The context of this watch and how it was released now compared to AP, which has gone. I mean, just think of it this way. Just think of it. Just close your eyes and imagine the landscape now compared to where we were 5 years ago. Okay, AP's done it. Patek, they've done the Nautilus to death. They've done the Aquanaut to death. AP has done the Royal Oak and the Offshore to oblivion. What are these brands doing now? Cubitus for Patek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Code
Yeah.
1159
Code
for
11.
AP.
AP. Yep.
Absolute, you know. And then Vacheron says, okay,
Rubbish.
well, we'll do our own thing now. Now that the attention is off, let's bring the original back. There you go. It's a good tactic, considering that the other two have sort of done the heavyweight fight. They've knocked each other out. They've got like internal bleeding, brain damage. as you can tell by the watches that they're launching at the moment. And then these guys just slip in with a 222 saying, there we go. We'll join the Trinity if we have to.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd still take an overseas.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, man. I mean, the interchangeable bracelet swapping, and yeah, you can't stop. It's just too good.
Well, let's get into some Speedy talk, because the reason the thing I just wanted to talk about really was this guy here. I'll bring him up.
321 Ed White. Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. The one on the cover photo.
Oh man, this thing. Okay, so
tell me about this, because this is what spurred on the conversation. This is how you said, man, we're doing a talk on Speedmasters on Sunday. I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
Well, okay, so when Ed White came out back in, it was 2019, I'm gonna say, so about 5 years ago, right? So on Steel,
Ed White. I've got it pulled up here. I'm still looking at it, thinking, yeah, it'd be a nice watch to get.
Like it's amazing. Like Ed White itself is one of the goats, but we'll get there eventually. This watch came out actually at the same time, and it came out under the radar.
It did. You're right. It was like that precious metal edition with the 321 cal. Yeah, they dropped it right. I remember.
Yeah. So it's platinum with these meteorite subdials. Like, just look at this thing, man. So it's killer. So it's got white.
It's so clean too, and they've got the OG logo on it. I dig it.
Yeah, how good's the logo, right?
Yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, beautiful, like stunning piece. And I always thought one of the things about this watch that I really love, besides the fact that it's platinum, besides the meteorite subdials, which just look unreal, is that with
it's the applied. Yes, man, go for it.
So my bugbears with Speedies has always been two things, really. It's the white handset, like the painted, like the all white hands, and the painted indices. So this one here, you've got all that cool shit, plus they've gone white gold on everything. White gold indices, white gold hands, white gold surrounds on the meteorite subdials as well.
Man.
So
I get now I get the picture. This is what separates the men from the boys in the chronograph space. You want applied plots, you want applied details around the subdials. Those are white gold. Those are rhodium plated or white gold hands, right?
No, all full white gold, man. All of the inside of the dial, it's all white gold.
And so there's the difference. It's not only
platinum.
Yeah.
So I was, but the thing was, I always thought to myself was like, why don't they bring out, like, where's the bracelet? Like, you've got the platinum Speedy. It's cool on the strap. Don't get me wrong. So here's rose gold plated. That's Sedna gold, actually. So Omega's version of rose gold being Sedna gold.
I didn't know this was Sedna. I thought these were just the typical brass plates.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
That's all Sedna gold, all on the plates there. So I was like, okay, why don't they bring out this watch would have been so cool on the bracelet. That's what I kept thinking to myself. And plus the price sucked ass.
I mean, look at it. It's the price of a house. Boom.
And then fast forward to like last week or something, and then they were just like, boom. You wanted a platinum bracelet? Here you go.
Put flat that link too. I mean, I'm the fact that they've made it a flat link is just like choir singing, beautiful. Just
I was like, man,
doesn't get better.
And I was thinking to myself, okay, like this has to be now the GOAT. This is the GOAT Speedy. First, like it has to be. Like what else even comes close to this, man?
This is the Mon Daytona territory for them, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
We just
Like,
seem to be on a trip for meteorite elements, because my favorite chronograph in the last 5 years is that Zenith calendar,
Zenith,
triple calendar, Hodinkee edition.
the
Man,
herding edition. Yeah. We'll have a quick look at that later. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
it's such a good contrast to this as well. But I think, yeah, I get where you're coming from now. I didn't think about the applied elements, and yeah, man,
So, and
platinum everywhere. Love it.
I was trying to get some live pics. There's no live pics of this watch on the internet at the moment. I'm sure, obviously, they're not sending it out on the press run. You know what I'm saying?
Just the price of a supercar on everyone's wrist, just traveling around. No worries.
But man, with this bracelet now, like, oh man, it's just become. Like, I just can't stop thinking about this watch now. It's just so fucking good. Let's leave the price. I don't want to talk about the price because we probably do have to talk about the price eventually. But like, just let's leave that to the side for 1 minute. Like, surely, what are your thoughts on this? Like, in terms of sort of your Speedies, and you've done a bit of research on them. Like, I don't know, how do you feel this fits in amongst all of the Speedies in terms of that upper echelon of Speedies?
I've always loved a watch that can play it so understated, and only you would know that it's something truly special. And I think this one does it so well. Not a watch that shouts about it with its bright garish tones and a big exuberant dial. With a piece like this, for most people, they'll just think, looks like a regular speed. Some interesting subdials on the watch, whatever. And then you take it off and you give it to them, and they're like, this thing is the weight of lead. What is going on?
Yeah, totally.
And also, just talking about like the history of it all, a flat link professional case with this is like the epitome of what the professional Speedmaster was as we were transitioning out of the Ed White era into what it became. So yes, in so many ways, this is the icon of what the professional is, just with a few minor touches. The meteorite detail just adds something else to the equation.
So we'll have a look at like the new moon phase that launched the other day. We'll have a look at that one, but that one's got a meteorite dial as well as meteorite in the moon phase.
Actual moons, yeah.
But here you see it's got just a flat black. I think it's onyx actually. It's a flat black onyx dial with the meteorite.
Oh man, of course, because I remember one of my. I think I've told you one of my dream go-tos is a 2915 with an onyx dial that came out. I think just the year after this one arrived. I think it was one of the earliest releases of January 2021. We can pull that watch up because I freaking love it. 2915 platinum with the onyx dial and 321 movement, and it's got like a little diamond on the seahorse. They put an engraved case back on the thing, idiots, and there's a little seahorse with like a little diamond on its eye. It's really interesting. But this is its rival. I think the 2915 came out just after this one launched. Man,
it's just so good. Yeah. So then, and then we get to the price. It's like, oh my god, like really?
I don't know what that is in His Majesty's pesos. I don't know what that is in the currency.
It's so ridiculous. Like it's probably close to 100 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I can look it up super quick.
I remember that the 2915 is like 80,000 pounds, and that was enough to just make me think, what are we even doing here?
Hang on. What the fuck?
I can do the conversion here if you like on my side. 160 AUD.
That's 81,000 pound. 81,000. 81. Like that's way more than a platinum Daytona, man. I think last time I can from memory, platinum Daytona is in the 120 to 130,000 Australian. So this is like way out there.
Who the hell can afford this stuff, man?
Surely, like if you went to your boutique, like if you're some high roller and you went in there and offered them like, I don't know, say 100, like like if you said, hey, I want the platinum, can you sell it to me for like 120? Like They'd give it
Yes,
surely.
that'd make a plan. Yeah, I'm sure, because
Like,
no one else is going for this thing. I mean, that's the irony. It's like going to the gym in January. Everyone knows it's going to be full, so no one goes to the gym in January, and then you're like, oh yeah, got the place to myself. It's that reverse psychology, you know?
Yeah. Discussing crazy price Speedies in a
In a
relaxed
choking, yeah. I mean, unfreaking real.
Oh.
I don't want to try and share my screen. It's been so long since I've used this thing. I don't even know how to do it. But I would like to see the 2915 as a comparison. It's the polar opposite to this watch.
So what do I put in?
So 321 2915 platinum. Oh no, maybe it's white gold.
Oh no, I think are you thinking of the Canopus Gold one?
Yes, it's not platinum. Oh no.
Yeah, no, it's Canopus Gold. Yeah. I was gonna bring this one up actually because it's a pretty cool watch.
Also, the many things that you like, applied elements and all the rest.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. And it's a broad arrow style. This one.
It's a broad arrow. I'm losing my freaking voice. It's a broad arrow style.
So I was gonna say this is another contender for Goat Speedy. Actually, this one's another contender, I reckon.
But I would go to the retailer and say, put a standard case back on this thing. Put a standard sapphire case back. What's the deal with the friggin' engraving of the? Why do they always have to ruin their stuff, man?
Oh, they've put is it like the hippocampus thing or whatever?
They put the hippocampus on the case back because you don't want to actually see the 321 movement. Why would you?
You're fucking shitting me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look at the box the thing comes in. It's just the most. It's just unfriggin' real.
Look at it go. But okay, so you know what? Broad arrow Speedies are really cheap at the moment. They're super cheap. And really? I've always thought, yeah, in Australia you can pick them up there's a few been hitting the forums for around the 5,000 Aussie mark. And
are we talking like 2915 trilogy models, or are we talking the that fancy like 57 Speedmaster? Oh, I think you're thinking like coaxials and stuff. Hey, the coaxial.
No, just this. I'll pull one up later. Okay. But the Speedy broad arrow, not the 57 reissue one. There's just a broad arrow. I'll pull that one up in a minute.
Okay.
But I've always thought, the steel bezel on it looked a bit whack, but
it's a bit weird. Yeah, it is.
But with the flat link bracelet, it just sort of changes the look of the watch. Like, it looks really cool.
That's funny because that's in one of the rare cases I've always been a proponent with this watch. I've always said it's so sick, and people have been sort of like umming and ahhing and denying. I remember when Hodinkee was doing this like 10, 15 years ago, they had collector conversations and they had Eric Wind on and all these guys, and they were chatting about the many variations. That my two favorites have always been the 2998 and the 2915.
Yeah.
And years and years ago, and I've always said the earlier ones are the killers. Everyone's keen about the professional cases and the Ed White style, but this has always been my wheelhouse. And once there was that huge debacle with Philips, I think it was, when they had that tropical dial 2915.
Yeah,
remember that?
That turned out to be, it was fake.
Out to be a Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they really got a lot of attention, and folk were going mad for them in many ways. But yeah, I've always loved the originals, man. I love the quirk of the originals. The broad arrow hand is just one of my most favorite traits that belongs to Omega that people aren't very keen on, which I don't get.
No, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really cool. On the Speedy, it's a little bit weird because this hand,
it gets in the way. It gets in the way of the subdials.
It's so fat, man. It gets in the way. Like if it's over here somewhere, and you're actually trying to time something, you're like, when's my lasagna going to come out of the oven?
This is something we can get when we get into the FOIS. We can talk about hands, because that's the one thing that's turned me off from that watch, which I still adore, and I still am very driven to get one.
Yep.
But the handset is a bit of a negative. Look at those hands, man. I love it.
Yeah, they're very, very cool.
There's so much character to that on the dial.
Look at that dial. This is that onyx dial. This is like a 3-layer onyx dial. Actually, it's got one layer.
There
and then you've got the surrounds, and then there's another layer at the bottom.
Look how deep
cool.
that thing drops in there. It's just great. I love those sorts of details.
Look at and the applied indices, man. I think these are these cannabis gold on these or rhodium?
They would have to be precious metal. I don't think that would be rhodium at this sort of price.
Let's see what this does if we press this.
Timely behavior. It'll come out the oven when it's cooked. Your lasagna, not when Swatch Group tells you. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, it's just that friggin' seahorse. Yeah, you can't hear it, but we can see it.
Yeah.
I love, and just the little things like the Naiad detail on the crown. I don't know if you spotted that, the little Naiad logo on top of the classic.
Yeah.
If it repeats, you'll see it again. It's one of the coolest details about these earlier models. Oh man, I love the nuance. I love the things that didn't work but just made a watch unique. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that, man. Yeah, that's a killer watch, mate. That's
when we win the lottery, you can get the platinum 321 and I'll get this little guy. And we're happy.
Yeah.
And we also get matching Le Monde Daytonas, of course. That just has to happen too.
Of course. But this is I think this one's true to form in terms of the case size being 39 mil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that I've always admired about the Trilogy range is they did CT scans of the original watches and they nailed it to the millimeter.
Fuck. Yeah.
The box is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
there's a pull-out tray underneath and all sorts of cool stuff.
That's cool. I like the fact that they go nuts with the boxes. I know you don't use your boxes, but
and there we go. Look, they're all stacked. Check it out. They're all stacked together. Look at that, man. 3-2-1 collection. Boom.
Yeah.
You got the pedestrian Ed White in the middle. I mean, who wants that? And you got the 3-2-1 on either side, platinum, and oh man,
shit, that's 150 G's for that. What?
There we go. So I don't know what they're smoking.
They're smoking cannabis gold. That's
in that route. It's the real stuff. Acapulco gold, cannabis gold.
Jesus Christ, you serious?
And I think this was the thing that broke me was the fact that it came on a bracelet and they could charge that. Now with the platinum on bracelet, it's like 160, or 180, something like that. So
160, yeah, 160.
Oh man.
I reckon what they're gonna do, I think, what I hope they do anyway. This is what I'm hoping is that they basically put this dial onto the steel Ed White, because we all want the meteorite subdials. That's and those applied indices and stuff. So give us all that in the steel one, and then make that say how much it would cost. I don't know, maybe.
They'll double it. It'll be 50.
Maybe 50. Yeah. Okay. So 50 grand. I can that's a lot. Look. Okay. It's fucking expensive. Okay.
That's a lot more acceptable. You know.
But that's the thing. It's more palatable, right? 50 grand as opposed to 160.
Yeah, you can rationalize 50 grand on a watch every day. That's what we do every day of the week.
Yeah. I can get down with that. Yeah, I reckon we're gonna see a steel one with the meteorite stuff, because I was looking at where did I have it? This one here. So this was the first. Well, this was the first time they put meteorite.
Of course.
On a Speedy. So 2010, we had the Apollo Soyuz.
The Soyuz mission. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So, but you can see here, this is another really underappreciated Speedy, I think. Really cool one. Because again, it's got those applied indices. It's got this is the one I was thinking about with rhodium. This has got the rhodium plated indices and
like that red accent to the running hand. That's very nice. The top.
Yeah, it's cool. And the Speedmaster on the dial, the red Speedy on the dial as well. That's cool. But here we've got the black meteorite with the grey meteorite
nice
subdial.
Details.
Fuck, this is a cool watch, man. Another cool one. So we had that. Yeah, so
Do we,
that's
do we
that.
have
Yeah.
to talk about the moon phase thing that came out this week? Some folks are really keen on it, and I just see chronoscope and think to myself, what are we doing here,
Yeah.
man? It's just it's
Well,
the first watch of the year from them. You know, they always tend to like. I mean, think last year they brought out the second generation Dark Side of the Moon, which is a killer watch. I've been looking at that a lot recently.
the second generation Dark Side of the Moon. Oh, is that the ones with like
the little
they've
rocket,
got like
on the running seconds that came
I
out?
think that's the Apollo 8 or something. Apollo
Yes,
15, I think. Yeah.
I think it's Apollo 8. I think it's Apollo 8. I think you're on it.
Apollo,
Mm.
yeah, the one with the rocket. Yeah.
I find
one,
that such an interesting piece in a lot of ways. I love the yellow accents and stuff. This thing to me, then that came out this time last year. These are just, it's just a chronoscope with a little bit of a polish on its shoes, you know?
Yeah, you got to put this one. You want to put this one to bed, really. The chronoscope,
Oy.
and this goes into the
Shame.
where do they go? Somewhere that we don't want to see them again, maybe.
The chronoscope has so much potential, but they just didn't market it well. It should never have been a friggin' Speedmaster. It should have been its own thing. It could have been a part of the Seamaster line or something, you know? It could have been a part of the DeVille line. They could have nailed it. It's a
It didn't
classic
make
watch,
sense.
man. No.
Yeah, it didn't make sense being in a Speedmaster case.
But you know, the irony is that they debuted this bracelet on that watch before the 3861 arrived.
Yeah, they did too. Yeah,
It
I
was the
remember.
first. It was the first one that had this bracelet and a micro adjust. I think that was like the interesting detail about it.
Yeah, and it had they had the chronoscope had the adjustable clasp, but the regular Speedy didn't have it for some reason for like a long time. And then everyone was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Give us the adjustable clasp on the Speedy." And so they did it. January 2023 was when that swapped over to the adjustable clasp.
How the hell do we know all of this stuff? Hey?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. We've got something wrong. Timely says Apollo 15. Oh, you guys are just ripping into each other in the chat. Forget it. I love that reverso, man. That reverso is so killer. I've been looking at reversos a lot lately, unhealthily amount.
Yeah, that's a sick piece. Yeah.
But we're not talking about reversos today. We've got to keep on track.
Do you like the white face Speedy? Chloe, we have it. Is that if you really are a lady, Chloe, thank you for joining us. We always like to have females in the house. Thank you
and female. I mean, we're talking about a 99.9993 at the moment with our male female audience.
Exactly.
White Dial Speedmaster. Okay, you go first, Mr. JCB. I know your answer. I mean, as far as
well, I don't. Okay, so I don't. You know, I don't wear white dial watches, but I actually really like the white dial Speedy. I reckon it's awesome. I really like it. Let's pull it up. We'll have a look at it.
Yeah.
Let's go into the Omega site, and that way we can sort of pull up stuff. Moonwatch.
It's you know what the thing is. I remember we were talking. You go first, man. Keep going. I want to hear.
Okay. So Omega have done white dials before. It's never really been, that we always associate Speedmaster with black dial, but the way they've done it on this watch, I think it's really cool. Just the black, it's everything sort of the contrasting bits that you need are all blacked out. So instead of being, it's like the black hands.
Legibility is amazing. I mean, you would be able to see what's going on very easily.
It's just
pretty
cool,
good. It's impressive.
I think it's great. I love it. And there's black applied. This is the only current Speedy, or not the only one, but in the Speedy Professional line that has applied indices, which is, I'm a big fan of that.
Steel range,
Yeah, in the steel range, exactly. Yeah, so I just think it looks really cool, and when you see it in the metal, it just looks great. Like it really gives the Daytona Panda a real run for its money. You know what I mean? Like it's just a really cool watch. I think I really like it.
I like to Russell's in the chat. I like to look at it from a perspective of like longevity, and you see that picture that he has there of that Patek. That's one of the
Yeah,
coolest museum pieces. I mean, that's
it's
oh
very
man,
cool.
that's all Cloisonne. I think of it as like longevity, and I think will this watch in 10 years' time still have the same level of punch and staying power that the black dial does? It's because it's a
I
negative.
think it will.
It's so different to the standard look. I think I just need to spend some time, getting my head around it. Still, I still find it to be more of
Yeah,
a special edition, limited edition look than something that
yeah,
has a mainstay in the range.
yeah, yeah. No, I get you. But yeah,
The
no, I think
details are
that,
nice. The fact that they've done it, they've executed it
yeah,
this way, like a complete
yeah,
negative with everything being black polished and the black finished, and the way the subdials work, the depth to the subdials. It's interesting. It's light play as opposed to the lines being what define them on your standard black dial.
yeah. Well, and also I think when you think of white dial speedies, in the past they've done them in contrasting. They've been
Silver
panda.
or something. Yeah,
Well,
they've
no,
also
like they're
yeah.
like they're like panda subdials. They're black or
Hmm.
they're dark blue, like on the Tokyo limited edition.
There's a couple I can think of. I think there's one
Something
like a Neptune. They did a Neptune model with like a big engraving of a Greek god on the case or Roman god on the case back. They've done some in this similar kind of configuration, but they've tended to be not white dials. It'd be more like a silver finish of some kind. So it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah. I think so. That's what I sort of like about it. It's just the things are all white, just with the bits that you need to see when you need them. They're just in black. So yeah, I think it's really cool. And that obviously that red Speedmaster text is that little pop of red.
Ties it up.
Yeah,
The
it's fucked up.
cleanliness is nice. I mean, it's super, super clean. A designer would be very happy with this. There's something so clinical about it that I think makes it work.
Well, the other crazy one that I can think of that
nice presentation, man. Yeah, there we go. There's the OG.
Yeah. So this is Snoopy 2, right? Snoopy 2, which I think is one of my favorite speedies as well. I feel like they took a lot of inspiration for the white dial from Snoopy 2, which I mean, look at it. Like it's basically
100%.
it's pretty much, you can see where they've gone with it. It's like,
except you can own that watch. You can't own this one,
Exactly. Yeah, this watch is like, man, I remember when Snoopy's went nuts. I think this was trading for like 3 or 4 times retail at some point. It's just absolutely mental.
And since we're talking about this, we must talk about the Snoopy 3 after this, just as a contrast, because it was quite a contrast with the blue detail.
Yeah.
It's a cute little watch.
Oh man, if I could, man. So this, me, I don't do white dials, but this watch is just the tits, man. It's so cool.
So you would rock this?
Oh, fucking any day of the week, man. Yeah, it's so cool. Any day of the week. This is one of my favorite speedies for sure. It's all the tachymeter is all loomed.
Everything looms. I know it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's so cool. It's
something else you must definitely cover is like our favorite speedies. We can do that in the next portion of this. We should chat about just the ones that we would want to own. There's a couple I think that we'd be keen on. But the Snoopy.
We got down a bit of a tangent there. Yeah. So here we come back to this bloody thing. I just don't like okay, so the black one is a lot better for me than the blue one because this one is just. I don't
even think I featured the blue one in my video. That's how disinterested I was.
Yeah, but I think here the thing that throws it off, and give me your design perspective, it's just this subdial is so much bigger than the other two. It throws off the symmetry. Well, it's symmetrical, but this one it's just bigger than the other two. To me, it's just like a big gaping. It's like a whale shark cruising through the ocean with its mouth open or something. It's like got this.
Now that you've said that, I see it. But funnily enough, I actually kind of like it bigger. I don't know why. I find it gives it more of an old-timely sort of look. And our man Russell in the chat will probably attest with his Polymerite Langer.
Yes.
The big tourbillon hole at the bottom of the dial. It gives it like a more of a traditional sense. Plus, you can admire the detail of the moon phase a lot more, which is something. I mean, who buys moon phase watches really? It's we're talking about a very small percentage of people. But I kind of like it. I think if it was the same size as the subdials, it would look way too pedestrian. This at least gives it some sort of gravitas. But again, my redesign, I put I would wanted to have an annual calendar of some kind. Would have been nice to have had a day and a date at the bottom of the two big subdials, or two chronograph subdials.
Yeah, like down here or something. Yeah,
some nice playing with asymmetry. But I get what you mean, especially on the silver dial. It looks like a gaping mouth, and it does look a bit strange. Like
I normally like gaping, but not on this thing. Now, I think, but I get it. Yeah, like to make the most of the moon phase, you have the big
get
dial.
it to pop.
Yeah.
But I just can't not see chronoscope when I see this watch, which is a.
So it's just not a very elegant looking watch. That's the thing to me. It just doesn't. It has no elegance. Like you go to this thing here, like with the meteorite, and this one I can get. It's a lot more elegant.
That's all you need
as an item. You know what I mean? And then you go to this thing, and it's like, it's just not. To me, that's where. Yeah, like it's not just it's not an elegant looking piece. I think that's how the best I can describe it.
It's a Frankenstein's. It's a part spin special. Let's just call it that.
Yeah, okay. Let's call it for what it is. Oh man, the meteorite.
As Timely says, the dial is stunning. I mean, the meteorite detail is gorgeous, and they really know what they're doing with materials.
Yeah,
but man, this is not a good look for the start of 2025 after considering what they did last year, the watches that they brought out last year.
Yeah, totally.
Again, this sort of complication should be in a dress watch, a dressier piece, and it would look great. So I don't know. Look at the detail.
So there's two different types of meteorite I remember from reading. Like one is some from a big meteorite, and these are actually lunar meteorites. Nice. This is moon rock, and it's some random rock, space rock, which is kind of cool.
That is fascinating. I mean, the history of meteorites, when we think that it's a belief that they were responsible for bringing all the many elements that we have on the planet. You know, they're like responsible for introducing carbon, etc., to the. So there's a lot of like cyclical. It's a cool thing to feature meteorite out of moons and meteor using that texture in a watch. It's pretty nice. They could do. I mean, think of what JLC could do if they had some time. I don't know if they've never made a moon related meteorite complication. It would be sick. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but yeah, again, it's an oddball.
It is. That is an oddball. It's odd.
I think we've done enough in this movement. Oh, no, let's move on. Let's. What was the other piece? The Snoopy 3. I think Russell mentioned something about Snoopy 3 in the chat. That might be quite cool, since we're just talking about the Snoopy 2.
This got,
they've got so many freaking speed. This is like the underlying issue with Speedmasters, man. They've got more Speedmasters than religions and races of people on this planet. They're just trillions of them.
How do you feel about that though? Because people okay, so whenever a new Speedy comes out, all the haters come on the bandwagon and they're like, oh, it's another Speedy. Omega are just bringing out another Speedy. What are your thoughts on like?
I just don't care that much, honestly. The secret is just not to care. But you know, some they hit, some they miss, and on one side, I do like the fact that there is just so much variety. I mean, the Speedmaster is a genre in itself, which is pretty rare. I could say the same thing about the Seamaster. Actually, I'm working on a video around that subject, but there's so much depth to what they offer in this range. I mean, just looking at these two models here, you've got the Apollo 11 anniversary. Is that what that was? I'm trying to remember. But look at that thing. I mean, that's a 1-to-1 recreation of an original like anniversary celebratory model. It is the 50th anniversary. There we go.
Yeah.
That's such a killer watch. I love the detail on this thing, man. I would own this in a heartbeat. And
You
Next
dropped
to
a
it, you
full gold.
have,
Nice.
yeah, man. Especially with the burgundy detail, it looks killer. And it's so, it's like, can you get any more 70s than that? And then next to it, you have a charming, characterful Snoopy detail with an animated case back. Really nice panda arrangement. I do prefer, you know, I'm a fan of legibility. Yeah? I do like the fact that you can see everything going on. Maybe the Snoopy in the corner subdial, I'm not so keen on. I would prefer if it was just a normal running seconds, but it's a nice combination.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta have some little Snoopy thing on there. I just love the thing on the back. That's really cool. And the Snoopy goes flying around.
It's clever.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, Snoopy 3 is cool, but I feel like Snoopy 2 is just I don't know. There's just something cooler about Snoopy 2 for some reason.
I think it's more to do with the fact that this seems, I don't know. The Snoopy 2 has more of a space feel to it. It gives you a bit of Alaska Project vibes, you know. It gives you but also has more of a comic strip look to it. It gives you, you know, if you look behind the picture on the left here, we can see the black and white sketch of him there. It gives you more sense of what a Snoopy character would be in a comic book form. This is a bit almost leaning too much towards serious and maybe not playful enough, unless you look at the case back.
Yeah, but then you turn it over, and that's where you get the playfulness, I guess.
I think the navy blue is just awesome. The navy blue and white.
Yeah,
Cool.
These watches actually look cool on the bracelet as well. Chuck that bracelet on. That's really cool.
So we're getting feedback from this audio through your microphone. That's cool. Yeah, it's a great looking watch, and I like the detail that it's a silver dial, like the Silver Snoopy Award. They're trying to play onto all that. But a bit of trivia is that these silver dials can oxidize pretty badly if you're not careful, because these aren't screw-down crowns, and you know something can, if you do get any kind of moisture, can get trapped in there, and these dials do, should I say, oxidize over time.
Okay.
And I think this is something that Omega is trying to play on quite a bit, is they want their watches to age and patina in some way, form. I don't know.
Yep.
We're talking about bronze, gold, and stuff.
Okay.
But another model.
What else do you like?
The Ultraman, man. The Ultraman, man.
Yep. I reckon it could be here. Do they have it here? This was when they did the 60th anniversary.
Interesting.
2017. They had this. They've got this website with all this.
Ooh, the Alaska Project. Let's do it. I have to see the Alaska up there. Yeah, man.
Oh, really, this guy here.
Shit. That's so cool, man.
Tell me, what's this all about?
So, if I'm trying to, this was a while ago. I think it was about 4 years ago that I made a video on the subject. After the success of the professional case and the 3-2-1 movement and all the rest, they started experimenting more with the idea of a case that was more integral to the mission and that could be worn over jackets. And this was a prototype watch that they threw together with the concept. I think it's anodized aluminum outer shell, and they wanted it to be in just temperature resistant on all forms. So something that would be very good in all atmospheres and environments. And it was just an external case. There we go.
Sorry, minus 148 to plus 260.
Good. So my brain hasn't completely diminished at 30. That's nice to know.
Look, not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
so thermal shield. If I remember, it's anodized, and it's like a 3-piece outer case. And the actual watch, the original watch, didn't look like a professional Speedmaster on the inside. It was just basically a dial that fitted around this case. But it was ultimately scrapped, and because NASA just didn't want to spend any more money on this research and this project, they didn't want to pay Omega anymore. They liked what they had. They liked the professional case Speedmaster the way it was, and it just stayed that way. But this was just a killer. Really interesting. I love the contrast. I mean, you can see I'm a bit of an addict with the red, white, black. You know, it's a part of it's the vibe. The subdials with those funky looking hands. I dig it, man.
They're like rockets, eh? Yeah, they're cool.
So cool. It's just so odd and so cool. Speedy under a donut. Yeah, that's about right. They've done so many of these limited editions, man. I don't even know where to keep up.
I've
But
got to
it doesn't
put
look
in.
like the Ultraman. I wonder why the Ultraman is not featured.
Yeah, it's weird. Let's have a look. What do we got?
I do enjoy this little watch. Either the re-edition, I think, is charming. This one, I mean, the only thing that really separates it is that
Oh
orange
no,
hand.
this is showing the original one.
That's okay. I don't mind.
No, we want the reissue. The reissue is dope, man.
That's sick.
Oh,
I think. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, this is cool, man. Yeah, this is another one of my favorite Speedies. Actually, such a cool watch.
It's the
So
orange accent,
this was for Speedy Tuesday.
Was it?
This
Wow.
was yeah. So this is number 2 for Speedy Tuesday.
Wow.
So Speedy Tuesday, the first one was
a Fratello collaboration, and they brought out it was a silver dial.
This guy here.
One. That's it. Yeah.
That's the first one. Yeah.
And that is also an Alaska. Okay. Those are Alaska subdials on that one. Just a small hint of detail. Those radial plots. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's had the OG logo on it too. Very nice.
Yeah.
Tasteful. Yeah,
it's cool. So there's I think it's an online magazine or web. It's called Fratello, yeah? Fratello watches.
Fratello watches. I tell you what, of all the blogs that I listen to and read and pay attention to, Fratello is the one that has remained as enthusiast focused as ever before. I love their page, man. I just dig into their archives and I read these conversations that they have with collectors. It's so enthusiast driven. It's what Hodinkee was a decade plus ago. Maybe not even as deep as these guys go. It's so great, and they still keep it so real in that sense. So
you're on the Hodinkee site talking about Speedy 2, which is produced for Fratello. That's hilarious.
Yeah. But Fratello, I dig what they do over there. Such good feedback from what they deliver. But this watch, man, the orange accents,
it's sick, man. Yeah, it's really cool.
Around all the 5-minute plots and the first 3 minutes on the 30 there on the right subdial.
Yeah.
Man.
The colorway is just so cool.
And I see it as the collector in me. I see the El Primero, the Zenith El Primero, I think red seconds hand. If I was going after a Speedmaster, get some orange. Throw some orange in there. I'm kind of collecting colors now as opposed to just the watches. It's so nice.
No, I'm with that. Yeah. And it's really cool.
Also dig the fact that the Ultraman logo is hidden and you only see it when you hit it with a torch, as opposed to it being on display. Yeah, on the running seconds on the left subdial.
Yeah, what's with it's down there. You can sort of see there's an outline of something there.
It's very well hidden unless you hit it with a certain light.
Okay.
I think it's far nicer than just having Snoopy in your face all day, every day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%. It's really cool.
It's the subtleties, man. I mean, that's the origin, the moral of the story. Great details. And the box that came in, I mean, it's just cool. They really pay attention.
Yeah, this one still sells for a lot.
I'd hate to see what they retail for now.
Yeah,
retail.
They don't come up often. I remember seeing one maybe 3 or 4 months ago on a forum, and I freaked out looking at the price. I was like, "Far out! This is fucking expensive." Yeah,
they only made 2012. That's So is that because because 2012 was the first year of Speedy Tuesday? It was okay. So this being 2017, this was 5 years later.
Yeah, okay. When was it? Was that 20? No, this was 2017. This one.
I'm so
the first
confused.
Speedy Tuesday, 2017.
I just don't know. This is like this is Vacheron anniversary levels of
It's anniversary inception with Speedmasters, man. Yeah, just don't try and think about it at the moment. Your brain probably can't deal with it.
Okay, let's get away from professional cases and look at the straight lugs. Let's look at the new FOIS. This is the one. Now, this, I think, a bit of context. One of the earliest Speedmasters I ever got my hands on. I was very lucky. I was doing a bit of a London trip, and I met up with a couple of enthusiast collectors, dealers, and we went to Burlington Arcade, and we were checking out, like, I think that's where it all really started for me, because in there I saw a South African issued Tudor Submariner, Snowflake Submariner, which is like incredibly rare. I saw mill subs for the first time. I saw saw double red sea dwellers. I also got hands on with a 2998 with a lollipop seconds hand, and that has always been the grail Speedmaster for me. I don't know if you want to pull, if that's too much of a request to pull up CK 2998-3, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, maybe, yes. It might be a few images with a lollipop. That one right there. Watch Pro Sight. 5 across from the top. Yeah. That to me is Holy Grail in every single way. I had that on. I think it was on a leather strap, black leather strap, and I was just like, man, this is it. And this was before I owned the Trilogy watches. This is before the FXD and all these great pieces came out. But I just remember South African Tudor issued, which they only made like 12 of these Tudor mill subs for the South African Navy, and this. And I was like, man, what else do you need? Never going to happen in my lifetime. The one thing, and I've always just said, the one thing I wish they did was they just brought out a first Omega in space that was accurate to this watch and far closer. And then last year they dropped it. In so many ways, it's right on the money. Yeah,
it is. Hey,
and everything from the Soleil dial, the blue Soleil dial, to the it's just great. These are all, I'm sure these are all just renders, but we'll get the point across. The way they did the crystal on this thing, I know normally they have hands on. Hey,
yeah, that's why I put up monochrome. Man, let me just get some.
I've got a garbage truck outside the house. If you hear a funny noise going on,
trying to get
there. It is there, far right hand corner.
The one there. That's the
one across, one left.
There yeah.
That's monochrome hands on. Man, I'm lost. What was a South African watch? A Tudor. Yeah. So timely. We know about the mill subs, the British mill subs. 5517s. Of course, we talk about Marine Nationale Snowflake submariners that were issued to the French and to the American and Canadian forces. The story goes is that a guy who was training with the French Navy at the time saw these Tudor Snowflakes. They were black dial Snowflake submariners, and took a batch down to South Africa and gave, I think it was about 12 of them. He got an issue of them. Very tight serial number range and super, like the rarest of rare mill subs that you can get because there were just so few of them. A black dial. It's not a 7016. It's the precursor to the 7016 Snowflake Submariner. They're really cool, man. I really love the latest Apollo 8. Magnificent. Yeah. Oh, man. But this FOIS. This thing.
Yeah, I remember you did the video and you were going on about it, and
I missed one. I think I was telling Mr. Beaver off air that I missed the sale of one just after our last show that we did like 2 weeks ago, and I could have got a sizable discount on one that was brand new.
Well, it was on eBay, yeah? You were watching it on eBay?
It was an auction. And I said, and it wasn't like it was a price that I couldn't afford at the time. I just said, do I really want this watch in? And I should have just taken myself out of the equation and said, this is for the channel. This will be great to compare against the 765 and the El Primero. And, I'm thinking also for me, I take the bracelet off this watch, put it on my Trilogy Seamaster, because this is like a 1-to-1 of what the bracelet should be like, and put the mesh on this watch.
On that, yeah.
Friggin' cool. A 19mm mesh will look on this thing.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here with all this thinking, it's going to happen. It's on the cards. I have to do it. It's going to
Oh,
happen one day.
Well, I wanted to ask you. So, that's the thing. So you've never had a Speedy. I've actually never
Owned one. No.
never owned one as well. This is just my dad's one I'm wearing. So, and we're probably not the right people to be talking about it. But everyone says, like everyone needs to have a Speedy in their collection. So, I think, like I reckon, like I'm gonna get one eventually. I think you will get one eventually. I think this is the one that you should get.
Yeah,
as well.
it's going full circle. You know, this was like 10 years ago when I got this watch in hand. And I've always just been drawn to the straight lug cases over the professional cases. I don't know why, because they're not exactly exciting. I think it's the 39 mil size that I prefer. It's just the way they wear. There's a different feeling of the watch on the wrist. And, you know, because of this watch and everything in between, I got the Trilogy Seamaster as my first. And to add this as well with that Soleil dial, there's enough differences. The applied logo, I freaking dig it. Of course, the one thing I would want changed, there's a couple of things I would want changed. I would want alpha hands on every sub dial, and they would have to all be white as opposed to the polished. This is the one downside to this watch that people don't talk about. Legibility on this thing for time telling. It ain't the best, man.
Okay.
These hands should have been brushed instead of polished because they're so thin that when the light hits them in the wrong way, can't see anything.
Okay.
Like there, just squint your eyes. I mean, how can you tell the friggin' time looking at that thing? You have to be quite astute. The other thing I'd want changed is that running seconds hand. The chronograph hand. I would want to have it either an arrowhead like the professionals, which I think would qualify it as a 2998-5. That was the reference. And the -3 was the lollipop. Oh man, I would love a lollipop hand on this thing just to get the extra bit of funk factor in there. Hey, Brent.
Good to see you, Brent. What have we got? Yeah, Tom would make a nice pair with the Trilogy. Yeah, 100%.
I know, man. And this is another thing, like the Breitling that I have is the real spanner in the works because the 765 is just such a friggin' good watch.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, when I think of the price I paid for it, I'm also being the value shopper here. And should I be? No. You shouldn't be thinking about value and stuff when you're chasing after a watch that you're keen on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sitting here with these two amazing chronographs, and I think, do I want to add a third? Is it something? Will it give me more depth, or will it just? I mean, this watch is like the marriage between the Trilogy Seamaster and the Breitling 765. I've got those two pieces. They're their own watch.
Well, that's the thing. This is a nice melding
Bonding.
of those. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I reckon.
And this is another cool thing that we haven't talked about. You have never owned a manual winding chronograph before.
Correct.
And you were very on the fence about, am I going to enjoy manual winding? And I tell you, with the power reserves that these come with now, like 70 hours.
Yeah.
No problem. You can wind it on a Thursday and it'll still be running on a Sunday, and you don't have to wear it. You can just leave it in the box. Pick it up, wind it again.
Cool. Yeah. No, I think it's just because I've never had a manual winding watch before. So I'm just a foreign thing concept to me. So once I get used to it, it'll be fine. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's the one that I want the most, but I keep going back to that question of, is it going to add any more depth to the four like main pieces that I already have? The one thing that obviously that I love most is that dial. It's just perfect, like a petrol blue.
I'm just trying to get a good photo because these photos don't show how blue it is.
Go to Fratello. Fratello's nailed it. I think a couple of images just next to you have a Google search up there.
I'll just put it in. No, look at the hands on.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Fuck. Yeah. Look.
We'll get to. There's a couple more. Yeah, they've gone quite deep. And this was the thing for years. I mean, this is like I've been debating for years chasing an FOIS because the first generation, I made a whole video about it. I don't know, a year or two ago about how I'd got so many things wrong, and this is what they need to improve. And then the same year they drop this at the end. I'm like, man, are these guys listening to what I say, or is this just on the cards? You know? From the applied logo, it's perfect. The handset, spot on. The bezel, the crown, all the little details they nailed.
What do you think about the loom color?
I think it does add something more dynamic. When you see this next to an Ed White, this is the joke. When you see it next to an Ed White, this looks so much more premium as a watch, just because it has the color and it has a bit of. It was a conscious choice because the originals all looked like this. It's very seldom you find a 2998 that doesn't have this colorway.
Yeah,
but it is going to turn people off because I mean, that's another thing. Do I want another faux patina dial in my collection? I've got, technically I've got like 3. I've got 3 of 6. Yeah, the Seiko has got like a sewer green loom to it.
Okay.
But it's a nice. I do think it's a nice complementary contrast to the blue as well. There's a nice colorway. It's just so interesting. And this is the underlying thing that divides us with Speedmasters. We'll get into it in a moment.
Yeah, this is pretty sick, this watch. Yeah, I saw one in the Omega boutique in Melbourne. It was just in it was like in the display. I didn't get hands on with it, but when I first saw the photos of the watch, I thought that they really overcooked the loom, and I didn't.
They baked it too much.
Yeah,
too much time in the oven.
Too much time in the oven. Yeah, but when I saw it in the metal, I thought, yeah, it actually works. It's not too full on. It actually works. It suits the watch really well. Yeah, it's cool.
And this is the real underlying thing that now that we're an hour 16 minutes into the talk.
Yeah,
the issue that I've always had with Speedmasters is I find that they just lean too much into the serious side of the chronograph, where it's very linear. There's no polishing. There's no, like we mentioned, no applied details. It's one colorway. And as a contrast, I mean, I've pulled this thing up like 16 times during our talk, but this thing has, it's the bee's knees in every single way. The lighting sucks in here, but you have applied elements, you have polishing, you have brushing, you have a really dynamic, cool little prototype case. You've got a display case back. It's an automatic movement. You've got a date complication in the corner. You've got a panda dial. You've got a tachymeter scale that's contrasting. You've got a red accent that's contrasting. Then when we get into the tritones, the A386 with the tricolor subdials and everything there's so much going on that you can look, every time you look at it, it's something different. And you're like, man, this is the Speedmaster. It's always been too linear for my taste. And I feel that they eliminate the character for the sake of functionality, utility. It was always more of a utilitarian watch in the very beginning when we look at the racing history that the watch had.
Yeah.
The reason why a watch like this tips me over the edge is the fact that the dial is dynamic. There's stepping, there's depth, there's a classic applied logo. The handset is gorgeous and different compared to the Ed White, which looks, sterile in comparison. This thing just does it.
Yep. No, I get you.
Yeah, that's just something that has always just turned from a lot of watches. I think it's one thing I've woken up to over the years. Talked about the Zenith Defy Diver. I would go after that watch, no problem, because it's just it's so anti what the establishment is about, which is black on black, this kind of bezel, this kind of size, this, where the Defy has got like 14 sides to its case. Why? Who cares? It's just bizarre and cool.
Yeah. I think that's what I was sort of getting at before when I was mentioning about how when I was going for my first watch, I wanted something different. I didn't want something that fit in the box. Like I didn't want like the icon. And I think it's like a collector's philosophy sort of thing where you you want something that doesn't fit in the box. You want something that's a bit different, and that's what you sort of go towards. These days, I mean, I'm appreciating icons a bit more. I'm appreciating the sterile. I'm appreciating the boring stuff because I think the design, when they designed it, they just got the design elements so right in those icons, like the Speedy, the Submariner, all the boring shit. It's
yeah.
well,
And I'm on the you're right, and I'm on the other
you know
end of
what I
the
mean?
spectrum. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
like I started off on the left. I mean, not started off. I'm still there. I still like the different pieces and the things that are left of field, but I can appreciate now. Whereas before, I just didn't even think about them. I was like, yeah, boring. But now, having seen so many watches and having seen so many of these, the icons, like I get it. Like I get why they are icons. Like they have icon status because they're designed so well. You know what I mean? And yeah, they're boring and sterile, but they still have a place, I think.
It's interesting because then, as the design guy, I would say 100%. I think they nail it from. I mean, the professional case. Think about how many variations it took to get to that stage. But I prefer the watches that didn't necessarily get everything right, because every time I look at it, I say, it's a weird choice putting the date at the 4:30 position. Why did they do that? I don't know, but I like it. Weird choice giving it a red seconds hand. Or what was the deal with the hands that don't really fit very nicely on the dial? But that's always something that draws me back. When I have the Explorer on the wrist, I can just be like, yeah, that's perfect. It's great. I can put it on and don't think about it. It's just superb. In every light, it's got charm and character in its own way. But I put on the Seamaster as a contrast and be like, this handset is just so out there and different and killer. So it's fun, man. I enjoy that element, and that's what makes this piece appeal to me so much. Not that it gets everything right like the 3861 does, which we can agree. I think it's the 3861 they've killed. It's just so neat. I enjoy the bit of, squeal up your eyes thinking, this is odd, but I like it. It's an interesting animal. This was a weird choice. Yeah, man.
Yeah, this was an interesting watch that just came out, wasn't it?
Yeah. I enjoyed the fact that I hopped onto this. I talked about the Omega watches they don't want us to know about, and I covered unit watches, which is a whole separate genre that no one talks about. Omega as a brand don't even share. They keep it very quiet. And this was a part of it. This Flightmaster sort of clone. The fact that it's in the coaxial 40mm case, yeah, it's them getting rid of this case again, similar to what they've done with the chronoscope design and the moon phase. This is them offloading the coaxial. I think they want to ditch this 40.5mm case that's been around for over 10 years at this point. The Clooney, I mean, this was originally the Clooney watch. Remember all those advertising posters with him in it?
Yeah.
If we take off all the paint and we take off the hands and stuff, this is the Clooney skeleton.
yeah. The Clooney. Yeah. Interesting, man. Well, there you go. Any other Speedies you can think of that got your interest?
I think the Ed White is the natural progression of like the final hurrah, the kind of watch that is out of our reach, but it's not so far out of your reach that you can't get it one day. I've never really been a fan of the two dial coaxials, really.
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon's good.
Well, that's
yeah. Go on.
Well, that's a two register, the Dark Side. So what with this one, this was a coaxial, and then they replaced this coaxial movement with the 2 register.
Got you. So this was the last. Okay,
this was the
watch, man. I tell you,
predecessor to Dark Side of the Moon coaxial. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
It's a special little watch. Can't say I've ever seen the date. We can also talk about the 3861. These 2 watches I think are good to close the show off. The 3861 that you're so keen on, and then the 321 Ed White. We can seal the deal.
Yeah. So let's have a look. So this is the Hesalite one because you can tell straight away because it doesn't have the polishing down these inside.
I always look to the logo, but I think that's the worst. That's the worst thing because the lighting doesn't always hit the logo well. So
and also the hand will be in the way of the logo as well in normal when the watch is normal. This is the sapphire version. You've got the polished.
Polish.
They're not polished center links. They're polished. what do you call these? These are the inner
Railroad
bloody
tracks. Mid call them like the mid links.
Like my brain at the moment. Like I was thinking, okay. The inner mid-links. What else? Obviously the sapphire and the implied logo. Yeah, so this is the one that I think it's just I think the design of the watch is really cool. The bracelet is a game changer. It's so good. The bracelet is just awesome. Really, really cool.
There is something so, I think, cathartic about what you're doing here, because you have this in your sights. You know exactly what you're going after.
Yeah,
you've got it. You know, I've never really been that way. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm the kind of guy that will look at stuff and say, "That's nice. That's really cool. That's amazing," and then keep it somewhere back here. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it might fall into my lap 5 years later, and I'll be like, "Yes, now's the time. Let's do it." But I won't actively be hunting for it until suddenly it just arrives on the doorstep and like it has to be done. I think it's a good philosophy to have. I think this takes up a lot of RAM in my head, and I think it's better to do what you do, which is like, you know, have it on lock and focus on exactly what you want. So it's a nice feeling. It's a pretty cool feeling knowing that you've got this prepared and you're ready for it.
I think otherwise I think otherwise you can get taken off the path. Sort of, you can stray and you can get into something will pop up and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then
the designer brain again, it keeps me on my toes. I have to be creative a lot of the time. So if I'm so stuck on one watch, I can't really get my job out properly. You know, that's another thing. It's like, it's a catch-22. It kind of slows you down too. But I get what you mean. You can suddenly stray off and look at Grand Seiko GMTs, and it's like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be chasing a Speedmaster. What are you doing? You know.
But the price is just on these watches is just getting ridiculous, man. Like, I remember when you know, back in the day when I was sort of started to look at watches, you know, 15 years ago, these were, I think the retail was something around like the 8,000 something.
Yeah.
Look, I get times have changed. I understand that, but this watch is just not worth that much money. Like, it's it's not worth that money. So
it's one of those things. Hey, we don't buy at retail. You try your utmost to avoid retail as much as possible, man.
Well, we can pick these up on the secondary all day for about 9,000, 9.5. So it's like, it's such a big difference. Like, that's a huge discount.
There's one at the moment I've seen £4,500. I can't remember. I think it was a 2022. Yeah, sapphire sandwich, full detail. Great price for this watch. If you can get it, if you can get $5,000 for this watch, you're in good shape. It's pound sterling for those across the pond.
You've got to get a January 2023 and onwards, because that's when they change. That's when they change the clasp. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's how I know that little tidbit, because when I was looking at all these things, I was like, okay, on the secondary market, what ones had the adjustable? And that was when I was.
Tom has just brought up a comment in the chat. I just seen a 16600 Sea Dweller has been on my mind for 8 years. Tom, not a few weeks ago, there was a full collector's set that came up. It was a 2008 model, mint. I have never stopped and said, yes, I'm going to get this watch. It was 8,000-ish pounds. It's a lot of money. But it was full box, full papers, untouched. This watch was completely new old stock. One of the last of this line, 5-digit reference. I was this close. But then I said to myself, am I going to wear this watch? What am I going to do with it? Is it a watch that's going to factor in? Is it going to get in the way? Is it get a 16600, Tom? Do it. Chase it. It's a hell of a cool watch, man. I've seen them. I've seen so many. I've had a lot on wrist and in hand in the past. It's cool. It's the berries from its size to. Anyways, big tangent. Sorry, Mr. Beaver.
No, you're cool, man. You're cool. No, that's a cool. It's been on your mind, that watch. I know.
16600, man. Oh, last of the aluminium bezels, and when you get into the early 2000s, so you have luminova. You don't have to worry about tritium fade or anything like that. sapphire. There's too many good things to talk about. But you must be certain that you're going to get a great condition case that hasn't been touched.
There's your boy.
There
Georgie.
he is. And he's wearing the blue. Ew, I'm not a fan of those those double dial. But yeah, the last but not least, let's talk about the Ed White, which, I've come around to. Hey, again, what's turned me off from this watch, we talked about character and dynamism that the FOIS has that I've always liked. It's the hands on this watch. I just feel them, they're kind of plain. The sub dials, it's cool. It's just a very, very faithful. And I look at it now and I think to myself, this would be a great watch to add just because of what it is and what it represents and what they nailed. Ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, just throwing a spanner in the works. If you had the cash available, would you pick up this over the 3861?
Oh, easy. Yeah, for sure. But see, this is the thing, right? So this one costs roughly double the amount if we look at the retail price, right? So 20 for 25, 5 versus 13,250. So it's around double the price, right? So I just firstly,
are you getting double your money here? No,
you're not getting double the watch. Come on, man. There's fucking no way, right?
You're getting less actually when you look at the amount of steel on the case. So.
Get a couple of mils left. Look, I get the movements all handmade and hand finished, and you're paying for all of that. It's the movement, and look, apparently people. I've actually never handled a 321 Ed White, and people who have say the quality, you can tell the difference and yada yada. It's just the 3861. I feel like it's more like it's about 70 or 80% of the watch of what the 321 is. So do you know what I mean? It doesn't. This should be only another 30% more, not. Double, not 100% more, if that makes sense. So look, if I had the money, sure, I'd get this one, the Ed White. But I think if you don't have the money, you get the 3861. That's it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's a funny thing for me because I've never felt impassioned to go after this piece. I think it's because the dial is just too professional for my liking.
Yeah,
I've always found it to be a weird transitional model with the professional dial, but with the classic case and bracelet. And I think to myself, the dial is what I'm looking at 24/7. Is it going to be something that'll put me to sleep in a couple of months?
Yeah, knowing you, I think it will. Yeah, knowing you, I think it will, and that's why you gravitated so much more towards the FOIS. It's got all of those little design elements and things that you like. I think I know you, that I know that this one will probably be on the sterile side, because even when I look down at this Speedy, I'm like, it's just more the hands. It's the hands, like these white.
See, this is the problem because you're about to go after 3861. You're going after 3861 and you're already looking at that one on your wrist going, it's okay. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but this one's a bit different because it feels different than a 3861. It's bigger and bulkier and stuff. The 3861 just does a daily proposition when it's on your wrist. It's a much better sort of proposition. I think.
Another one of my bugbears is that it doesn't have Arabics on its dial, and that's always been a turnoff for me. This sort of watch gets away with it because it's got panda elements and it's got applied details, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on. The 765 remedies everything that I would want. I mean, you compare this to the 765. You got Arabics. You got such a dynamic, radial sub-dial arrangement on the 765. You got a GMT bezel. You've got more interesting hands in some ways. Yeah, so this to me it's
I'll just pull it up animal. Just in case no one knows what you're talking about. I'll pull it up.
I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed wearing this watch. My most worn watch of last year. I picked it up early January last year, just on a whim, because I needed to replace my Longines Big Eye, which was missing out of the collection. And I'm so glad. This was one of those watches, again, implanted in my brain from years ago. and I found it for an amazing price. And I said, man, you've got to do it. And what a belter of a watch. 70-hour power reserve. You wind it up and it just goes. Keeps amazing time. So finding articles with the right pictures, hey, it's a pain in the naught.
Oh, you can't. This one's not.
It's not even.
It's not letting. You can't click on them. But anyway, you can see. You can see. Guys can see in the chat.
So everything from the Big Eye subdial. I'm quite miffed that I never picked up one of these 64 re-editions. They only made like 100 and something of those Jean-Claude Keely panda dial, reverse panda dials.
These guys here.
They made like a handful of them, like 100 and
something.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
I'm sure I saw one in the Melbourne Monards store.
Man, go for it. Get one because they're really sought after, and I want one. After experiencing the AVI, man.
Yeah, this watch is
everything,
cool, man.
Everything from like the numerals, the way they've applied the paint on the dial, it's like a sausage texture. You know, it's raised.
Yeah, it's raised.
Just
up.
The little details like the 5, 10, 15 all around the dial, the Big Eye. You look at the 12 o'clock subdial at the bottom, the 12-hour subdial, the radial arrangement, and you look really close, and the 9 is, and the 6 and the 9 are open. The 7's got a hook on it. There's so many details to love, and that's what draws me in. It's a matte dial, just like the Speedmaster is, but there's just so much more going on that keeps you engaged.
I love the bezel, how they got the little
fixture screws and stuff.
Knobs, the little knobs on the.
Oh, right, and that's what makes it a Breitling. The beads, like the little bezel beads.
Beaded bezel, yeah, sick. Yeah, it's really cool.
And if it didn't have that bezel, it wouldn't actually feel like a Breitling. I think that's one thing that's always defined the Navi timer in this line. Oh. And this is the thing, Tom saying there are just too many good options. And this is the issue that I have, Mr. Beaver, is that Speedmaster for me is just, I hate to use the word pedestrian because it's not pedestrian, but I'm the kind of guy that will go after the A384 or go after this sort of piece because there's so much else going on.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I was like, I wasn't expecting it.
You're the guy who got me down this road too. Got to admit. I mean, you with your top time inspired Transocean, you with your pilot Elite. Is it Elite? El Primero? I can't remember the name.
The captain. Yeah, the captain. The
Captain Primero. You've driven me down this road to go after the oddballs, and now that I've tasted that forbidden fruit. It's very hard to go back,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah. No, with the Speedy, like I said, it came out of left field. Like I wasn't expecting to like that watch. It was just when I got it on my wrist, I was like, it's meant to be there. It feels really. It's like must be the bracelet and the way they've done the case or something. It just felt like it just
locked
felt
in.
It just felt at home. It just was like, okay, this watch feels like it's meant to be on my wrist. So just one of those.
This is the same feeling I had with the Explorer. Put the Explorer 36 on, and I said, "What else do you really need?"
Yeah.
If Tom is still in the chat, I don't know if I know he's a guitar guy. I thought I would just turn around and show him that, which looks like a Spanish guitar. I don't know if he's noticed the last show that we had. You can see the size difference now, Mr. Beaver, between the two.
Yeah, totally.
That's a D28. That's an O28.
Yep.
It's a very cool little guitar. Super lucky to find it. It's like rare as hen's teeth.
Did that just come in recently? That one, the O28.
The O28, I got. Yeah, it was December time. I found it.
Yeah.
I've been in one of those similar scenarios where it was in my brain and always admired it from a distance. It's very seldom that you find a 14. It's a long story. 14 fret rosewood back and sides, tiny body concert guitar. Oh, it's just so good. Unreal.
Yeah, man, it's great. It's good that you've got the pair there of the Martins. Really.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean that's all you need. Dreadnought and then really small body. Basically, the smallest of the performing guitars and the biggest of their performing guitars. Very different animals in a lot of ways. Just get a Martin guitar, man. Don't. Gibson is great. Gibson is amazing. Get a Gibson mahogany. Get Martin rosewood. Sorted.
I'll show you. I was at I took my son to a guitar shop the other day. Actually took some photos. I haven't shown them to you yet.
He's got some good guitars there. He's got a little Epiphone SG going on there. I love it.
Yeah.
He's got I think he's got a Stratocaster now with a rosewood fretboard, if I remember.
So that was the.
There's a double O. Yeah, that's the original LOO. Yeah, and I've got the that's more like a 30. Lovely. Oh, that's the Street Legend. Yeah, that's new. That's a cool guitar. D28. You got some good stock over there. This is like a modern transitional thing they're trying to do with a single cutaway. It's more for like recording artists and for those who are transitioning out of electric guitar into. If you're from the Taylor guitar side of the family, you would go after those. Give it a try. Yeah. But that little LOO is killer. Those look like that's a 00017 or 00015. That one on the left, those are the best value for money, I tell you, for sound. That little 000, I'd get that for your boy, because the one on the left, the dark one, that's a full mahogany top, back, sides, everywhere, and very unique sound, very mellow, excellent for all things. If he wants, and like the best value for money you can get out of a Martin guitar today.
Man, the finishing on that guitar was amazing. Like the wood looks really cool.
Yeah, would highly recommend that one. 100%.
This one was super expensive, man. This is like a 12 grand guitar or something. This one
that looks like a D18. Probably a modern deluxe D18 maybe. It looks like it's got some bear claw wood on the top. Maybe could be a custom shop for all I know. Yeah, it looks like a D18. So that's a mahogany back and sides, just like the little 000 that you just featured.
Yeah, Aussie dollars, 12,249.
Could be a custom. I think it could be a custom shop. Maybe it's like an Adirondack top. Maybe it's torrified, which is basically they put it in the oven to get rid of all the cell structure. But yeah, get that full mahogany body.
Yeah,
excellent guitar. So underrated, so underrated, and you can get them for secondhand as well. You can get them for dirt cheap, and you're getting an amazing guitar for the price. I wish I had that guitar when I was starting. It's just we don't think about it, because when you think acoustic guitars, you think it has to look like that, right?
Yeah.
No. 00015, 00017, killer. You can watch this back if you like to get some more reference. Yeah. And cool. once your son gets into the steel string acoustic, I mean, I could see he's already doing well with the SG.
Yeah.
What's the next step going to be? A Les Paul standard, I think. Gibson Les Paul standard. He seems like a Gibson guy, so Les Paul standard, lemon burst, or get a cherry burst. Oh, dude, killer.
He's already like, can you have a look at if there's any Gibsons on the forums? Les Paul, I think he's going to be. I think the next thing is a Les Paul.
So, you see, I'm the kind of guy, like if I was buying for my son and he was really serious about this hobby, it's not a hobby. It's like a passion of his.
Yeah.
Similar with watches, I would buy him as good as possible. If I could, whatever I can afford, of course, but as good as possible. The thing with guitars, I know we've just completely gone on a tangent. Sorry about it, guys. The thing with guitars is, as sad as it is to say, the more expensive the guitar, the more it's capable to be played. And like, if I can just, these are both standard series guitars. This Dreadnought, it's amazing. I've been playing it for 5 years now, nonstop, and I know everything it can do. I know the highs it can go. I know the lowest lows. I know how the neck works, how much it can take. This little thing, it's so intimidating to play because it projects so loud. It feels like you're in a sports car, that it can do everything and more, and you don't feel confident enough to tap into it just yet. I'm having I'm in that stage where I'm like really tentative to play it because I know how good it is. It's a completely different ball game.
It scares you.
Another level. It scares you to play.
Yeah,
because it picks up every single change you make on the neck. The tone is the overtones, different animal. So and from 0 to 100, I think I've only tapped into maybe 70% of this thing. Genuinely don't know where. The more you spend, and this guitar wasn't necessarily expensive, but there's a lot of folklore around how it performed. To do with the neck connection, to do with the headstock and the brake angle and the way these bodies were designed, and scalloped bracing inside, so even better projection. The body is it's perfect for the job. So the more expensive a guitar, you'll find, the more time they've spent into the details. And when it comes to electric as well, just as much, the detail on the neck, how it feels. So if I was getting something for your son, get the I mean, I wouldn't say custom shop level Les Paul yet, but as close to custom shop, like the very end of the standard series. And then the custom shop is like another 10% on top of that when it comes to just even more detail. Hand wound pickups and all these little things that just add. Yeah. And that's the weirdest thing. I've been playing guitar for, I don't know, 15 plus years, more, near 20 years. And this thing frightens me. Like I can't actually, I feel so underqualified to play it. Yeah. It's that level of shit. What am I doing with myself? Yeah.
That's crazy. At least it's got you. Well, you've got something there that you can.
The only reason why this is out is so that I feel like I'm a good player. When I play this thing, I feel like an amateur. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so awkward. But that's the difference with the small percentages that makes a good guitar asterisk better.
Yeah.
So yeah, your son, by the time in 10 years time, I'm sure he's going to have a custom shop Les Paul. He's going to have the full range. When he starts making money doing what he loves, I mean, this is the thing. I'm so fortunate to say that this hobby has actually paid for itself now.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
When you start making that sort of money that you can live off and you can then afford the toys, you're away.
You're set.
It gets dangerous. Like you have to be really careful with what you do.
I'll remember that when I'm walking into my office job tomorrow.
No, I mean, you're still earning like 12 times more than me, but it's cool. Speedy on the horizon. I mean, I'm resisting looking at actually picking up watches. I'm very much a window shopper at this point. I'm like, dude, no, don't do it. Don't buy the FOIS Speedmaster. You want to get a car later in the year.
No,
you want
to
put a house deposit down. Like, no, don't do it.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. That's
Gibson endorsement back in the early 2000s was when I was playing bass. Man, bass player.
Yeah, that's the one thing we've got to pick up. We've got to get a bass guitar, because we've got a drum kit. We've got 2 electric guitars now. We've got a classical. We've got a Yamaha classical. We've got some other little shitty acoustic. We've got a keyboard.
Fender bass next. Jazz bass.
Yeah, well,
that's what I would recommend anyway, because that's at least what I've learned on. Fenders are amazing, man. They're just, you can take it into a war zone, drive over it with a tank, let it take a few grenades, and it'll still work. Gibsons are a little bit more light. Don't drop it on its headstock, whatever you do. Gibsons are notorious for headstock snapping off. But as far as acoustics go, man, I've always, how some guys are just Rolex diehards and Speedmaster diehards. I think Dad sort of instilled with me. He said, "Get a Martin."
Yeah,
got a Martin, and you never look back. You just like it matures like wine and whiskey. These things, the more you play, leave them out of their cases. Let the sun do the work. Oh, it's just awesome. So
where's Martin? Is Martin European or American? American. Okay.
So 1833, 4 generations, I think, or 5 generations, still owned by the same guy, the same family. Still under the family. Gibson's they both had very like spotty history. Gibson's had a spotty history with regards to like how it developed and ownership and who it's traveled to. Martin has stayed very true to their roots. They don't get everything right. They've had quite a fair few flops in their history too. But man, the quality of their guitars is great. But then again, Gibson Martin looks very, boring, right? It just looks like a whatever guitar. Gibson have always been like the showman guitars. They've always been more creative with their body styles and the colors that's why I love the LOO is an amazing, that little black one that you showed me.
Yeah.
That's like a 1933 model. Mine's a 1936 with the sunburst, brown sunburst dial body. They are such a cool story behind that guitar. Like, they built them to be cheap. They made them as cheap as possible because it was the Great Depression in America. They turned out to be some of the best acoustic guitars ever made because they were so light. Like, the top wood was very lightly machined and everything. Because of that, resonated amazingly for its size. Long story. I mean, we could be talking about it for hours.
Love to do another show about guitars one day. We'll set up a different channel. We'll set up a guitar channel.
Guitar chat. Jeez, but it's been a good speedy chat. Hey, like, I think we've covered the majority of what we wanted to with regards to like our stance. Hopefully, Thomas Burnett hops on and listens to us later on, and he can agree with my points that I just find them sleep-inducing a lot of the time, but some of them.
Yeah. It's Thomas. Oh, he's come around actually. We did a show about Speedies. Well, we did a show. I think it was his idea, maybe a couple of months back. We looked at all the interesting Speedies. That was pretty cool. But he's still not. He's not quite that. He's moved on from. He doesn't have the same level of hate that he has for Daytonas that he has for Speedies now.
And I've come around to the Daytona. I think you have also influenced. We've been sharing so many photos of Daytonas with each other. I've come around to the Daytona quite a bit lately too.
Yeah, man. Especially those 4-digit vintage Daytonas, man. That's a whole. We should probably do a show about vintage Daytona.
That's another one, by the way. That trip that I did to Burlington Arcade, that round trip.
Yeah.
6263. First time I ever saw 6263 Big Red. Had it in my hand with the hang tag, original bracelet, the whole deal. And the thing is tiny, man. I mean, it's smaller than this.
Yeah.
And man, reverse panda. It's not a Sigma dial, it's not a silver, but the OG black on black with silver subdials.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and thinking, that's all you need.
That's all you need. Yeah, there's nothing else. But on that note, mate, we'll leave it there, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the chat, and if you're watching this in the future, and enjoy the show, and hopefully we'll be back for some more Watch Talk the next couple of weeks.
This could be a slot where we squeeze in like Submariner talk, or we do a GMT talk, something similar around this sort of category. That might be fun, eh?
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, definitely keep it sort of focused on something and the stuff that we like, and we'll go from there. Yeah, awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for hopping on and listening to us ramble about everything.
Till next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.